Hello and welcome to another segment of Living the Farm Life. I'm Rod Nulik. I'm on the farm staff here at Purina Animal Nutrition Center, and today I have Renee Roetheli with me. Renee is the assistant manager of the beef cattle unit there, where we are today. And Renee has a cattle herd of her own at home, so she's a great resource for letting us know how to be successful. And that's what we want to talk about today, is just some simple and common sense ways to successfully take your calves through the weaning phase, keep them healthy, and keep them gaining. So, Renee, we talk about this, that a calf never gets over a good start or a bad one. Those calves that don't get off to a really good start, they never catch up. So It's really critical that we got that done. And we also say that it's the most stressful period in that calf's life. So what's going on?
Right. So at weaning, there's a lot of things going on. First off, they're leaving their mamas.
Right.
So they got that going on. And a lot of times when you're weaning them, some producers are bringing them into a weaning holding pen. So they're, pulling them out of the pasture. So you have them moving locations. Sometimes you're co-mingling calves, bringing in some calves from other farms. So they got that aspect. The diet change, them from their mama's milk to now having to learn how to eat, feed. Environmental, you can have mud, you can have heat, you can have cold. There's just a lot of things going on. A lot of times those calves are getting processed. Some producers, are doing vaccinations prior to processing, but not everybody can do that. So, they got that going on as well. There's just a lot of things being thrown at them.
A lot of stress.
Yeah.
And any one or two or three of those, maybe they can get through.
Right.
But when you stack them all together, it really sets them up so that they'll probably, susceptible to some of those infectious agents that give us some trouble.
Right.
And getting them off to a healthy start.
Right.
So, what's our number one goal that we're trying to achieve with these calves when we bring them in to wean them?
Okay, so the first thing is getting them to eat. If those calves are eating, that can help them out so much. A full belly will just, help them be less stressed. Drinking good water, just really helps them get going on feed. So having, water availability and clean water. But if those calves are eating, that is the number one thing to get them off to a great start.
Great. And so, we talk about having a plan to try to get through that. So I always have to go back to Danforth's 4-square plan of animal production and development. Of course, it's good feeding, good breeding, proper sanitation, and sound management. So, the nutrition, the genetics, the preventative health things, and then the management side. So we'll probably, at this point, we can't cover all those things, but I'd like to center in on that management thing. So if we want to get them eating, one of the important things is, how do we offer the feed up to them, and what's the bunk management for that?
Right.
So we'll take a look at how we could set this pen up to take care of that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so here we are. You've placed this bunk here in the pen, but we've got a beautiful fence line feeder that we've spent the money on. It's in place. It's easy to feed in. So why do you have this set up this way?
Yeah, it probably looks a little silly, but the reason why we do this is, when you go to put your calves in the pen, their weaning pen, what's the first thing they start doing? They just walk around, bawling and just walking around those fence lines. So with having the feeder right here, perpendicular to the fence line, those calves physically have to run into this, and they will see the feed, grab some mouthfuls as they continue walking around. So you're forcing these calves to find their feed, and it works out really, really good. And then once you guys get the calves on the feed, then you can pull out the bunks and then use the practical user convenience type,
Right.
inline fencing feeders type system. But at first it's very important for them to find the feed, and this will help with that a lot.
Oh, exactly. Sometimes we do want to kind of take the easy way out. It'd be a lot easier just to run the feed wagon down the fence line bunks. But for the health of these calves, and you said, biggest thing we got to do is get their belly full to relieve their stress.
Right.
Making sure that they know where it's at is going to be critical.
Correct.
We don't know if they even know what a feeder is today. So, Great point. And they tell us that there was some university work that said a calf will walk up to 12 miles around the perimeter of the pen looking for mama. So I don't know if he's an optimist or he's desperate, but if he can get a mouthful of feed, that's going to help a bunch.
Right.
So, but if we want them to eat, then we probably need to make sure that they're drinking. So
Correct.
We have to take some considerations there.
Yeah, so like we're saying, they're bawling, they're not eating well. So if you can get them on feed and get them drinking, that really helps. You know, all that irritation in their trachea and their mouth from all that bawling, all that. If you can, you know, get some feed in them and get that saliva going and drink some fresh water, that really helps with the stress. So with the water situation, you know, we always have a big open trough style water by any type of water we have. That we do that for a couple reasons. You know, sometimes calves aren't used to, if you got an automatic water there or a water on a float and that noise could scare them, might be timid to go drink. But with that open trough water, you know, the calves will come right up. They can see it. A lot of them can conjugate at the same time and drink, because, you know, they're kind of like kids. They all got to go to the bathroom at the same time. Well, they all like to go up to the water at the same time and get a drink. And then we just try to keep that water as clean and fresh as possible.
Good. So even in here behind us, we've got the Ritchie waterer. Right. Made another investment in that. Right. But they may not know what that is. Right. So you've got the other waterer tank right there so that they can see it and have an open apron. Correct. Close to it, but giving them enough space that they can get around it. Correct. So great idea. Thanks. Yeah. Okay.
So Rod brought up the watering point. So here in this pen setup, what we like to do, so you see we have an energy-free water right here, you know, and a lot of pens you would think, well, that's good enough. There's 2 holes, that'll work fine. But what we like to do to kind of set them up for success is we keep that water there, but then we also use an open trough style water. The reason we do that is, you know, if some of the calves out in the pastures aren't used to, you know, this type of watering system, or if you have a water with, you know, a float on it and they hear that float running and they can, you know, get scared of that and they back off and get real timid. So we like to have both options. The other reason why with the trough is, you know, those calves are circling the pens. They can bump into the fence. You know, just like little kids, they like to go in groups to the bathroom, you know, so basically same thing. You know, they travel in groups up to the water. A bunch of them can access this water at the same time. And the other key element to, you know, success with the water and intakes is keeping it fresh and clean. Nobody likes to drink dirty water, and this, you know, at this phase, they really need fresh, clean water.
Exactly, that attention to detail. So yeah, I really like that more calves can get up to the water at once. Yeah. Because if they can't drink, then they're not going to eat. Right. So just a really critical thing. Take the time to get those cleaned out. Again, a little bit more labor, but these are very valuable calves, and we want to get them off to a great start. Right. Good. Thanks. You know, Renee, most of our feeding programs, at least for the first couple of days, and some of them throughout the whole period, call for good free choice grass hay, good quality grass hay, usually around 8% protein, because for one thing, it's something that the calves will recognize right away. So, you know, we don't have this bunk, they don't have this hay feeder up against the fence line, but we want to give them room so that everybody can get up here and get access to it. But when we go to manage this, there's some things we need to think about too, to make sure it's a free choice hay, right?
Yes, yep, that's right. So, you know, when these hay feeders are made, or, you know, they're made to fit the bale that's going in there. You know, they're not really made to fit whatever calf size that's going to be, you know, eaten out of them. So you got to make sure, you might have hay in there, but if those calves cannot reach that hay, you know, you start seeing the muffin top and holes pulled out because the core's too tight and they can't, you know, get to it. You need to make sure you're pushing that down and available to them. The other thing too, you know, hay right now is very expensive. So, you know, it's hard to make calves, you know, eat it all before you give them more, you know, because you just don't want to waste much. But during the weaning phase is not the time to be making them, you know, eat it and clean it all up. You know, you want good quality, fresh hay available to them at all times, and like I said, making sure that they can reach it at all times is a very key point to success.
Yeah, again, it's a big stressful period. We want to get them eating. We want to make sure they have all they want. So if you're concerned about it, take the hay out to the cows or something and let them clean it up, but have some good fresh hay that they can access right here. That's going to be critical. Right. Okay, cool. So lastly, Renee, we have we recommend, regardless of which feeding program we choose, that we either have a Wind and Rain Avela 4 tub or a stress tub in that pen for them. It's packed with energy, vitamins, and minerals that those new calves need, but we want to make sure that they can get to it. So why do we have this one positioned where we've got it now?
So we have this one positioned towards the back of the pen. We like to put them in the back of the pen. That way, you know, your shy, timid calves that are maybe not coming up to feed, a little, you know, timid at first, they can go back there and feel comfortable licking on it, because like you said, them licking that and getting that saliva going, it just really helps them out for those shy ones. So we always like to keep that in the back of the pen.
Yeah, so they've got access to it, again, licking it, creating the saliva, increasing their appetite a little bit, making them want to come up, get some water and some feed. Sure works wonders.
Right.
So a lot of considerations here, all kind of on this management side. So it's not just what you feed, but how you feed it. So I guess to wrap it up, we're going through a really stressful period. Calves are very valuable. We want to make sure we get them through that big stressful period, gaining and healthy as much as we can. So 4 square, good feeding, good breeding, proper sanitation, and sound management, what we focused in on today, is going to help to get that done. We've got lots of options as far as the nutrition side of it. So if you have more questions about this or those options, I would encourage you to talk to your Purina representative, or as always, you can go and see your local Purina dealer.